Hello and welcome everyone. This is Access to Experts and I'm Ann DeVere, your host. And boy, do I have an amazing guest for you today. Now, if you've been wondering what parts of your business aren't working, or like if you ever said, what am I missing? What are the other ones doing that's working? I'm doing the same thing. It's not, well, there is a key to that. There is this magic factor, the magical factor that works every time. And my very special guest, Nathan Kievman, is going to tell you exactly what it is. Now, I met Nathan years ago. He came highly recommended from some of the, one of the biggest thought leaders around. And I've been watching what he's doing. Man, he is totally ruling what's happening out there. His businesses are, off the charts. And I want to know what he's doing, don't you? Well, he agreed to give us some time to share some of his secrets. I'm really excited about that. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm going to be taking a lot of notes during this interview. And I'm going to be asking the questions that you most want the answers to, okay? How do I know that? Because I'm just like you. We're all looking to add a lot of value, get out there in a big way. Remember, that's what Access to Experts is all about, where we interview business and professional experts and ask the questions that you most want the answers to. So without further ado, oh my goodness, Nathan Kievman, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Ann. I really appreciate the invite and the opportunity to share with your community.
Yeah. Well, actually, can you move back a little bit? We're missing the top of your head, and I don't want to. There we go. We want all of you here. There we go. So now I'm going to go ahead and really kind of dive right into it. I'm very curious about you and how you got to be the success that you are in all these different venues, different ventures, all the different things you've done, and for quite some time. So how did you get started in the business world?
It's actually a great story. And back in 2008, there was quite the real estate crash. And I was pretty heavily invested in real estate and did quite a bit in the real estate world. And I really actually at that time had to reinvent myself. I lost millions of dollars in real estate. And it was a tough time for my family and I. And we really went from, really pretty high on the horse, so to say, and enjoying life at a very premium level to living in a 900 square foot home with 3 kids. It was really tight. We lost all our stuff, basically lost everything. But during that time, I had remembered a story from being a kid. And when I was 16, I don't know if you know this story actually, but I had an out of body experience. I had a car accident. I died in the car accident. I met my Heavenly Father, and I had some insights given to me, and those insights came over a course of a few activities. But basically, I had fractured my C2 vertebrae, and I was unconscious in the hospital. And when I woke up, I had all of my friends from high school, my coaches, my teachers. It was amazing, and I wish that people that go through that experience could have had that experience too, because it's not often. But apparently I had touched enough lives during high school that in my junior year, that was the junior year summer, I was able to receive that blessing. And when I woke up, I really knew what life was all about, and that was that relationships matter.
Wow, my goodness, I had no idea that had happened. See, it's amazing some of the things that we just don't know about people. And that moment is, I'm just picturing you in a hospital with all these people that you haven't even seen in years, surrounding you with all that love and saying, wow, that must have felt like heaven in itself.
It was amazing. Yeah, it was. And what it told me is that how we do those little things, how we show up to people in the hallway or in passing matter. And fast forward a few years later to a 5-year reunion, and a young lady that I was acquaintances with in high school came up and gave me the biggest hug and said, "You don't know this, but you saved my life." And I said, "How did I do that?" She's like, "I was suicidal, and one day you just randomly came up to me and said, 'You know what? God loves you.'" And and gave me a big hug and a smile. And that was it. That's all I did. And that changed her life. And
oh my God.
Those are the things that matter. And so fast forward to this crisis that I was experiencing in terms of my financial world, I had to keep relying back to this relationship concept. And I found myself invited to an event at John Assaraf's place, and then also one simultaneously at Jay Abraham's, kind of in tandem. And so I was able to go attend these two events. And I was from a different world. I didn't really know Jay Abraham or John Assaraf or some of these great thought leaders in the speaker-author space. And I went to these events, and the Jay Abraham event was great because they were talking about this LinkedIn tool. It was this cool thing that everybody needs to get on. It's this interesting platform. And so, of course, I signed up, and like everybody, did nothing on it for like 6 months to a year, and that was it. But I started dabbling in it a little bit in between that event and John's event. And at John's event, I realized I needed a new career path, and I needed to figure out what it was that I really wanted to do. And I had some intelligence. I was gifted with some ability to figure things out and really kind of crack the code and analyze technology at a pretty fast pace. And so I started learning about websites and learning about things that I had no idea about. I was in the mortgage world, the real estate world. It was like no online anything. Like I didn't even barely had an email address. It was that bad. And in learning all of this, and I'll keep this story pretty short so we can get to the fun stuff with our audience, is that, and this is something I want to talk about, is this concept using the 3 circles of life. We call it as a Venn diagram. We'll get into it in a little bit, but this transitioned my world to really understand where my heart, my passion, my skills, and the trends in the market all merged. And that's where I ended up today. And now, fast forward to today, I'm considered one of the top thought leaders in LinkedIn training and strategy. I consult Fortune companies down to guys like John Assaraf and Yannick Silver and John Maxwell and Marcy Shimoff, for those of you that know her, and the Chicken Soup for the Soul books, and many others that we've been able to serve and support in our strategies and practices and what it is that we do. And it's been able to really help me leverage a business model that works for my family and for my lifestyle and what it is that we're trying to achieve in this world. And so that's what I want to hope to share with everybody today, Ann, is to give everybody that's listening some of the insights and the 5 key strategies to business success that I've been able to learn and been blessed with over the years to create a 7-figure practice in what we're doing and be able to help you guys leverage that. And if you're on track, great, how to accelerate that through relationships and some other thought mindsets. And if you're not on track, how to align with your right direction, right purpose, and then go fast forward full speed. So hopefully this is of value to everybody listening. It's been it's tremendous learnings over the years, and hopefully you can benefit from it as well.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, first of all, for sharing that story, because hearing the ups and downs of people who are going through it, right now, I know it helps them to hear how you've gone through it and come out of it. It helps all of us because we go through a lot of ups and downs. What I heard you say, a couple of things, is that, the gratitude factor. It showed up how you were like, okay, this is really good. And the other word that you said is serve the people, so you were serving. So, and a lot of times we don't hear that, in business. And I can't wait to dive into all the mechanics of how you're teaching this. But I think it's really important for us to mention that, because we're here to serve people. I like you. I believe that we all have these gifts that we've been blessed with. And if each one of us does what we're supposed to do, share it with other people and serve other people with it, we're all going to be better off, So, and I did not know your story, and now it makes sense why you are so passionate about what you do and why you're always so happy. So, you know what? I'm ready to dive in there, because I'm ready to take some of that wisdom that you have. You're going to be sharing with us, because we can always learn and do more. And I'm ready to learn and do more. And I hope all of you are too. Okay. So let's get to it. We're gonna get full on over here. Okay. First of all, just for you guys to see this. Okay. This is part of the Global Visibility Initiative, and Nathan is definitely highly sought after expert. So he's going to be sharing some of this amazing information with you. And here we go. Nathan, we're going to start off with, well, actually, I'm going to put both of us on the screen here. And we're going to start with what you call the 5 key factors of business success. So tell me more about that, how, the whole wisdom in this.
Well, in my growth and experience over the years, not just with my own business, but working with some of the largest companies in the world, IBMs and Microsofts, down to some of the thought leaders that I mentioned to you and their very successful practices, what you see trends. And my blessing, and one of the things I really garnered from Jay Abraham early on, was that perspective matters. And your ability to have great perspective allows us to have great insight, and that insight allows us to have faster accelerated growth because we're not stuck into this little hyper-focused area. So the 5 keys to business success are kind of what I've learned over the years and translated down to the key areas that I see all the entrepreneurs and successful coaches, consultants, speakers that I work with, up to the Fortune companies and some of their best practices, kind of all integrated into one little, simple 5-step formula. And it's not as simple as we're going to outline it to be. Of course, there's some genius behind it, but for those of you that are trying to figure out where you want to go, this is going to help you a great deal. And those of you that may feel like you're a little bit off mission or off point, this will maybe help you kind of pivot a little bit. And for those of you that are on point and really are starting and have a decent practice already or business model, and you're looking to grow it, then the latter part of these 5 steps are really going to help you accelerate your growth. So hopefully that makes sense for you all.
Yeah, for sure. So, and I was so excited. I even brought up the first point. I'm like, what do you want? I'm like, you know what? Ask me, what do I want? And just hearing that question and just trying to, answer it automatically makes me feel more excited about the possibilities. So tell us, how do we figure out what it is that we want?
Well, I think that this is the most interesting point, I think, personally, because I see so many people acting towards something they think they want, but they've never really thought through why they wanted it. So many mentors. Jay, I'll keep bringing Jay up many times because he has such great, tremendous insight. But he one of the things that he shared with me many years ago, and we had the opportunity to do a 2-day deep dive at his house and really learn about my own business through his eyes, was that what we want is not the money. It's not the outcome. Is not the money. The money is a means to an end of something we're trying to achieve. A lifestyle, freedom, the ability to choose what we want when we want. Those are the things we're really after as a community, as a people, right? Some of us are after love and connection, and we're just doing this so we can connect, and that's it. It's just fine. And some of us are wanting to make a great impact and influence the world and become a billion-dollar company, and that's okay too, for whatever the reason is. But it's not, the money is the means to the end. It's actually a result of the giving and the serving and the value that we're adding to the world. And so what we want needs to be something we think about and we're really clear about, because Solomon, and if you guys have ever heard about Solomon, the richest man that ever lived in history, supposedly today's value over $1 trillion of value in his world, had these models of vision and mission and purpose, and translated that down to the daily activities. But what was clear is what he wanted. And that comes in your vision. And if you don't have a clear vision and you're just acting, and your vision can be as simple as, I want a supply for my family. And I want a great venue and vehicle to do that. And that can be your vision for right now. And that can change over in the future. What most people get caught up in what you want is they feel it has to be this grandiose thing, like that's so far out there. It's just so far removed from what it is that they can achieve tomorrow or next month or even this year, that they just end up failing because they're not following through on a vision that's just too far in the distance. Yeah. And so,
yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up, because a lot of us, we think that, let me just make the money first and then I can figure out what I want to do with it. I have no sense in thinking if I don't have the money. And I'm glad you brought it up, because some of us also are like, oh, I want to change the world. Well, what does that mean exactly? And the way you said it, just think about, I just want to take care of my family. That's doable. I get that. Oh, that's, I know where I'm going. So yeah, I'm really glad you made it that simple, because I know you just made a lot of people a lot more comfortable with just that one.
People need to relax. Yeah. They need to relax into, it's okay. You don't have to have a vision that's going to transform the world tomorrow. You can have a vision that's going to transform your kids' lives. You can have a vision that's going to transform your family's lives. Something that's very simple. Simple goals will help, and visions will help us continually grow. And you can keep rebooting those visions as often as you want. So that's what, we just have to find comfort and love ourselves in that, because there's so much stress, especially in our professional coaching, consulting world, guys. I'm in it, right? I'm one of you. It's, we've got to find that next cool technology to integrate and be a part of so we can go make the next $1 billion and, whatever. Some of you probably don't have that challenge and you're just looking to have a great lifestyle. But all I'm getting at is that I had this challenge for the longest time. I wanted to have the $100 million, $1 billion company, and I still would love to do that, but I would love to have that be a result of the impact that I make on people's lives, not the other way around, not just to have it so I can say my significance is so high and it's feeding my ego. That's not what's going to get you there.
Nate, do you recommend, let's just take that example of I want to take care of my family. What does it mean to take care of my family? Do I want to send my kids to school? Do I want to go on vacation once a year? Do you recommend having like visions, if you will, or just like I want to take care of my family? What do you think works best?
For me, the vision, I have many visions of different parts of my world, right? But my overarching vision is around freedom and of time and the ability to choose what I want when I want. And so we all have different numbers of what that means to us, but it's not usually in the tens of millions. You can usually do that at a much smaller numbers. So, and that can be incremental, and that then translates down to your mission and your goals and your daily activities. So, but the vision sets the stage for the rest of it. And if you can have clarity on that vision, it's going to be the thing that motivates you each day and is driving you to get to that next goal, because you're tying it to that vision, that why that you've heard Simon Sinek talk about so many times now, I'm sure.
Awesome. Okay, so let's get to point number 2. Now that we know what it is that we want, so let's get to it.
Great. So what I see a lot of coaches and business owners and entrepreneurs doing is they are in action. They're usually quick starters, but they haven't tied it to something that's going to sustain them. I'll start with a story. So I went to this John Assaraf event many years ago at an old business that he owned, and a friend had hired me to run his operations and help him build his business. And so he was speaking on stage for John, and I got to meet John behind stage and really get to know him really well. Excuse me. And in doing so, we were at the event, and I said to my friend Larry, I said, Larry, listen, I love supporting you in this, but this is a transactional business for me, and I'd love to create something that's more passive and more sustainable for my future and my family. What do you recommend? What's your thoughts? And he's just a great mentor for me, and he drew these 3 circles down on paper. And if you want to pull that up now, and it's called.
Yeah, here we go.
It's called a Venn diagram. And he said, in each of these circles, you want to look at each of them with different words. One is, what do you really love doing? What is your passion? What do you like? I have all kinds of passions. I love baseball. I coach my kids. I was a scout with the Los Angeles Dodgers, went through scout school with the Milwaukee Brewers. Nobody knows this stuff about me, right? But I love that. It's passionate. But I also love relationships. You heard that story already, right? And so we jotted down relationships, baseball, a few other things. Skills. What are you really good at? I'm really gifted at connecting people, at creating relationships, bridging gaps between people so that they can understand why they would want to talk to one another. These are a great skill of mine. I'm gifted in that, and so I wrote that down. And then a few other things. I have a lot of skills in the energy space and home space, of course, from my background. And then what are the trends in the market? What's the hottest trends? What are they in priority? What do you see growing the fastest right now? Artificial intelligence, alternative energy, social media and marketing still. Sales is always in there. These are the things that are always hot, always trending. So if you're in a business where the trend is flat or it's mature coming down on the cycle, you might want to look at some other industry or some other trend that you could get aligned with that's in line with your love and your skills so that it can really help accelerate your growth. I say that because I was in the right place at the right time, because I ran through this diagram and I found myself at the forefront of all the LinkedIn marketing and everything that was going on in LinkedIn and the social media stuff that was happening at the time. And I walked out of John's event with 250 cards of people that wanted to potentially work with me. It was the most amazing thing I'd ever experienced in my life.
250 cards, because you thought about, hey, LinkedIn is the one that's, right now it's on everybody's mind. Let me focus on that. So you didn't even have a business. You had the concept, and you said, hey, guys, this is what I'm doing. Do you want to know about it? And people said yes. And I think that's really important, because so many of us, we feel like, oh, I have to put all this in place, this business, all that stuff, it has to be in place. They spend a year working on something, not even knowing if it's going to work. And I just love it. You're like, oh, okay, I'm here. I'm going on LinkedIn. 250 leads, basically. Love it. Okay.
Great. Yeah. And it launched a social media agency that we launched, and we found ourselves within 3 years competing against IBM and HP for business. It was unbelievable.
Wow, I'm impressed.
Yeah, I was too. So it was quite fun. So I share this with you all because if you can go back to the original bullet here, and that would be helpful, is to think about this, and as a working session for yourself is to write down each of these categories. And where that Venn diagram intersected, that's where you want to look at putting a focus of your business, even if it's a pivot right now. Because what's going to happen is you're going to find yourself in the right place at the right time, and then momentum of the industry will push you forward, and it will propel you because you're in front of the wave, not behind the wave. Really important.
So I have a question for you. It seems to me right now, and you're right in the middle of this, it seems to me that coaching and consulting is really booming. Because, well, for one thing, with all the different companies downsizing and all the other things they're doing, a lot of people are starting a business of their own, and they need help. They need help in areas as to, how to set up a business, how to grow a business. And this industry, I mean, it's like everywhere you go, there's all these different kinds of coaches that are coming up. What are your thoughts on that? Because I think that would be an easy one for our viewers to say, hey, I'm just going to pick one of these and go with it.
Yeah, coaches with specific expertise. So if you think of the areas of the trends that are really hot in artificial intelligence, innovation, social media, technology, energy, and so on. There's a whole bunch of them. But if you're a specific innovator or a thought leader or at the forefront of thinking in any of these categories, your demand for you is unlimited. It literally is. And whether you're offering coaching or consulting or speaking on the topic or some combination of all of that, mix that in with a little technology and maybe a little bit of done-for-you services, and wow. I mean, literally, there is no end to the need in the marketplace.
I see another interview coming out of this. Okay. Yeah. So I love it. Okay, so we have the skills, we have the trends, and do we cover all of it?
Love, yeah. What do you love? What are you passionate about? And where does your heart find great joy? And that's why this matters so much. Like for me, I can get up and in the middle of the night and be working, and I am happy to do it because I know what I'm about to do for a company or a client is going to literally change their world forever. And I look at what we do as putting people on top of a mountain, and they're speaking to millions. I mean, that's just amazing, right? And so I have a great duty to do that with only conscious and transformational companies or individuals that really deserve that. And if I don't, then I'm dishonoring what my role is and my purpose and my mission is in the world. Mm-hmm. And so for you guys, find that passion, find it, and then stand up for something, and don't be afraid to be polarizing a little bit, in the sense that, I don't mean polarizing, but opinionated, in that you don't have to appease everybody in the world. You just need to know who you are, who you're willing to work with, and for what reasons, and then those people will find you, because there's thousands of people just like that.
So I'm so glad you wrote that out. Well, for one thing, not everybody is our client. And, so if we're trying to reach everybody, as I said, we're not reaching anybody. But the passion aspect of it, it's so important. Like you said, we're putting people on top of a mountain. Now, my main purpose of my business is to give everybody global visibility. I'm for it. It's like a TV show for every expert. I don't care if you want to do interviews. I don't want if you want to be a show host. You want to send in video tips. TV show for every expert. And that fuels me because I see so many people who are really good at what they do, but the world doesn't know about them. And what that means is that the people they're supposed to serve never get to know what they have, never get to find them. And that's what gets me going. And that's where the passion comes in. And believe me, I've been doing this for 10 years with the technology aspect of it, way before the curve. I mean, now what I'm doing is actually becoming trendy, and I've been doing it for over 10 years. So, and if it wasn't for the passion, if it wasn't for my belief, I wouldn't have stayed with it. I know that. So I'm really glad the love aspect of it isn't there, because that's when we actually get going, right? That's where we pull the energy from. And what do you think about that?
Well, I would say, look, there's plumbers and there's appliance providers, and there are people that are supplying for their family and they're filling their needs in a different way, and they may not be super passionate about the product. I mean, we have clients in our company that sell these little technologies that sit in between other technologies at a company, and no, it's not changing anybody's life. It's making a few employees' lives easier. So that's not necessarily something that most people get super passionate about. But what they do get passionate about is the culture they're around, the people that they get to help, the families they get to feed because they're sustaining a company that's feeding thousands of individual families and so forth. So I don't want you guys to think about this in a way that, this one service that I'm doing. Now, in the coaching entrepreneurial space that we're in, we get to craft what we do and how we do it a little bit more than the rest of the world, which is a blessing to all of us, right? So this is really powerful. But if it's something that's serving a need for today, look, when I went bankrupt and I lost everything in 2008, I mean, I just needed to put food on the table. I went from making over $250,000 a year easily to under 13 grand in 1 year, and like overnight. I mean, it was devastating for my world. And I was thinking to myself, holy smokes, like I took so many things for granted. And you know what? That was the blessing for my world, because I was able to get perspective and appreciation and gratitude that I didn't ever have before, so that I could become a better person and grow faster and bigger and better and help the people that I need to help more. And so for you, the adversities that are before us today are opportunities to serve us in the future. I think that very much for all of us, we need to find the passion that really drives us, but then understand that the things that might be before us and the opportunities and the olive branch that's being handed to us is serving a need for the moment, and does not overlook those because we're waiting for, if you've ever heard the story, the guy was praying for help and he's in a flood. He's on top of his house and the water's rising. And if you haven't heard, I'll tell the story because it's funny.
No, but I think people would love it. It's always a good reminder. I know the story, but I love hearing it. So good. Please tell.
Yeah. So a guy comes up on a boat and says, "Hey, you need a ride? Let's go." And he's like, no, I'm waiting for God to help me. And then another one comes, a helicopter comes by. "Hey, jump on the rope here. Let's get you out of here." "No, I'm waiting for God to help me." And then, then the flood comes, guy passes on, he goes to the heaven's gate and he says to God, "Why didn't you help me?" He's like, "What do you think the boat and the helicopter were for?" So.
and that's so important. I love that, because so many times that opportunities are in front of us, and if we don't really see it, it will pass by us. And I will tell you, sometimes, like when I'm in the middle of making a major decision, I know when I ask for it, the answer is there, but sometimes it's me getting in the way. So this is what I'll do. I go, "Okay, can you give me the answer in a way that I understand?" And what will happen most of the time, 90% of the time, it will be in a conversation with somebody. And I know that that's the answer, because it's just a knowing. Sometimes it'll be on a daily reading. Sometimes it'll be, watching TV. But I'll know the answer because it goes ding, So, it's almost one of those things. But so that's it. So know when something is there to take you to the next level. And that story is a great reminder. Well, so we know, let's see, okay. know what you want, know what your business model is, what do you want it to be. And so we want to make sure that, our business model includes our skill set. We're aware of the trends, so we're not investing our time and resources into something that's going downhill instead of going up. And love, the key factor of our passion on why we're doing this, put our heart into it. Okay, we have a lot of great ideas already. Oh my God, I'm ready for the next one. Are you? Okay, so let's see. Number 3. Let's go full screen with this. Okay. Resourcefulness as a concept. Wow, tell me more about that.
All right. So for those of you that have, I think we all have these. We have blueprints, if you're familiar with what that means. If you're not, I'll share. So a blueprint is a way of thinking with an expected outcome. And I'll start with a story here. Why I'm highlighting this as such a big part of your success as a business is I started off with this gentleman, Larry, who I mentioned earlier. And I was figuring, I'm going to start a consulting practice. I'm just going to help some people, see if I can get $1,000 a month, get out of this rut. And I started playing around with LinkedIn, and I figured out that I could help companies build an unbelievable advisory board in like 2 months, really fast, like top of the line, best people in the world, really cool. And so I got like 3 or 4 clients, and I'm starting to get back on top of things, and I'm excited about life again, and I'm like, I can add value. I knew I could, and I'm not a terrible person for losing money. All these judgments I had on myself, right? We've been there. You've been there. Sure.
Yeah, I know that well.
And so, for those of you males out there, with families, it's a big pressure to supply, right? To deliver. And, I'm sure for many of the women, you may have the same feeling, actually, if you're running your entrepreneurial business for your family. And so, a lot of value is placed on your value of self is oftentimes associated with your value of wealth, and it's really not. And so I started breaking through that by giving value, giving more value, and people acknowledging the value. And one of these companies came to us and they said, we need to raise $500,000 to create this big production. And I said, okay. Now I had just come from a Jay Abraham event, and Jay Abraham's like the maestro of indirect thinking, if you can put it that way. It's probably an easy way to put it. And what I took from his experience, and then some stuff with John's, and I'll talk about a story with John in a minute too, is that, remember, money is not the means to the end. They were thinking they needed $500,000 to achieve this result in their business. But really what they needed is they needed a team of people with video cameras that were willing to partner with them to get this production done so they could sell it to A&E. And that's really what they needed. And I was a master of now connecting people on LinkedIn. I was really good at it all of a sudden. And I didn't have a Link Strategies business. I didn't have my business that I have today, and I didn't have any of that. And so I talk to them. They said, okay, we'll hire you for a couple months, see how this goes. And within 2 weeks, we had them a full partnership with another group that, instead of taking the cash, said, we'll take a portion of the success if you guys have it, and we'll do all this at cost. It was like literally like maybe $15,000 to build to create all 3 pilots for them. It was really cheap. And they ate the cost of the $15,000 on top of it, and they just had a free partnership and they were all working together for upside. And these guys were blown away that was even possible. That's resourcefulness, right? So remember what we're trying to achieve. I'll give you another example. I woke up a couple years ago. I said, I'm asking the wrong questions. I'm thinking that my blueprint of what I can charge somebody, and this would be perfect for most of you, because all of us, and I was in the consulting space, right? I started off as a speaker. I never did the coaching part of things. That wasn't my thing, but I definitely was into the consulting part of things. So I was looking for ways to charge money monthly to create a recurring service fee and have business that way. But then we have the coaches and consulting dilemma. When we're consulting, when we're coaching, we cannot go get new business. What do? We're working. We can't go get new business. So we speak so we can get higher referrals and more friends and so forth. And I was thinking, this is the model. This is what I got to do. I've got to go speak all the time. And I've got these young kids growing up. I know they're going to start sports soon, and I really want to coach. It's like a big passion of mine. I want to serve them. And I'm thinking, and so one day my wife says, hey, what do you think about doing for our business what you teach everybody?
What a concept.
How brilliant would that be? At the pinnacle of my speaking world, I was speaking about 6 to 7 months of the year. I was pretty much traveling, and it was affecting my relationship. It was affecting my kids' relationships. It was fun. It was great for my own significance. I was getting a lot out of it in other ways, but it was hurting me in other ways that I really greatly valued. And so I readjusted. I looked at those circles again. What do I love? What are my passions? How can I look at this business model in a different way? And so resourcefulness, I broke the blueprint that I was buying into because I was just bought into it. No other reason than that's what everyone else did, so that's what I'm going to do, right? And so instead of speaking all the time, I said, well, what is all this activity that I'm doing? What's the end result that we're trying to get to, right? This activity, instead of money now, right? Instead of wanting money, I said, I believe I've got to speak around the world to get all these clients, right? That was the belief. And I thought, well, is that true? Or really, is there a way that I can get these people to still have respect, still have trust, still have credibility, and get on the phone with me and do that in a very short, condensed period of time? That was a question. And the answer came, yeah, I can do it. Absolutely. We can do it digitally. We can do it through social media. There's a lot of ways we can do it. And so I built a model. So our whole business model is built on that now today, Ann. And so that's what I really was aimed at doing, was figuring out and cracking that code. And the resourcefulness part of this was being willing to break our traditional thinking, to think differently outside the box, to find a different path and be open to that through questions. Many of you have probably heard this already. If you ask the right questions, you get better answers. If you ask better questions, you get better answers. I think Tony says that all the time, Tony Robbins and many others, but it's true. And so I woke up one morning and I said, it would be really great if I could build my business and get right back to where I was a couple years ago. If I had 10 clients pay me $5,000 a month, that would be amazing. Like, what do I need to offer the world to get somebody to pay me $5,000 a month and do that ongoing? So this is the question I started asking. So I started asking better questions. And in asking those better questions, I found that people would pay me $7,000 and $10,000 a month for the same value because it was such a high perceived value. And I was like, oh, well, that's easy. And then literally within 2 months of me asking that question, I had my 10 clients paying me $5,000. Just like that.
That's inspiring. It really is. Now, all of you who are watching this, I mean, I hope you're taking a lot of notes, and I hope you're reading between the lines, because Nate is sharing so much great insights and wisdom and know-how here that, so are you asking the right questions? That's the first thing. But I want to back up a little bit. He said something really important. Actually, his wife, we have to give her the credit. Well, she said, what if you do for our business what you're doing for your clients? Wow, what a concept. You know what? We overlooked that a couple of years ago. I was struggling with the same thing. I'm like, I'm helping this one, helping that one. And all the things I had to do for myself were way down on the list. I was like, wait a minute. I'm going to hire myself. And literally, I went for about 3 months just to keep myself accountable. I would transfer money from the bank account into the business account, hiring myself. It was the actual act of doing it. And you know what? After a couple of months, I didn't have to do it anymore. But because we can see the result, if we do for ourselves what we do for our clients, and if we could put as much passion into it, and that's what I heard you say right after that. Once you started thinking about it a different way. This is what I want. How do I get this? How do I make this happen? And I love that you shared that you were looking for $5,000. They were willing to pay you $7,000 and $10,000. So you just took the action. Is it really that simple? Come on, really that simple? Does it really happen that easily? Tell us about that. What are the steps we need to really be realistic? Because I want us to manage our expectations, because if it seems too big, a lot of us don't take action on it. And you've done it. So let's give us some more nuggets. Let's go. Come on.
That's a blueprint, right? I mean, think of the blueprint. So I'm up against a blueprint right now. I'll tell you my blueprint, okay?
Go for it. Yeah.
My blueprint was, because I just broke through it this week actually, was I believed that companies and individuals would only pay me monthly. I never even thought, I never even conceived they'd pay me in bulk up front. Just didn't cross my mind. And then one day, about 3 weeks ago, a good mentor, friend, masterminder, good friend said to me, hey, Nate, a lot of companies will just pay you up front. And I said, what? I just what? Duh. It was the weirdest experience. I just couldn't. I was like my whole body morphed. And then I thought about it for a little bit. And then an event came up for our business where I really needed a lot of cash up front for a certain investment that we want to make as a company to go to the next level. And I'm like, man. And instead of falling into fear, thinking it was impossible, I thought about this resourcefulness concept. I said, instead of just saying it's impossible, I said, well, how could it be possible? What would need to happen in order for this to show up? And then boom, as soon as I said that, Kevin popped back in my ear. It's like, companies will pay you in advance. Companies will pay you in advance. I'm thinking, oh. So I went to 5 of my current clients. They were bigger companies. They apparently just have budgets. They have to assign the money, and they can pay you however you ask to pay them, really. And if you give them a little incentive, they'll just pay it all up front. Holy smokes. We got almost all the money in advance from that one thought. And we, pretty close to a 7-figure amount within a very short couple of week window from that one thought. So that's, and think of it this way. They waived their options to cancel. They extended their contract, and they paid in advance. Reduced the risk of my company. I gave them a little more, sure, but we reduced the risk of them maybe not renewing for some reason. And so now they're really a partner because they're all in, right? So it did so many great things for my business. It was amazing, guys. And so for you guys, think about it the same way. In the coaching practice, very common. I see some coaches charge monthly, some others charge in advance, in full. It's just a frame. And it's not going to work for everybody, but just ask the good questions, and then the answers come. They always come.
Yeah.
They will.
Totally. And, for me, what's working is a combination of, they pay for a package or, like monthly, depending on what's going on. So you guys, whatever works for you. And the other thing I want to bring up too is that a lot of people are not really utilizing technology the way they should. Now, Nate said he stopped traveling. He's engaging people online. Do you think that he's going to these companies all the time? He's just like doing what we're doing, getting on, talking about it. It's that, visual connection. And this is where video comes in, really like, it's the next best thing to being there. People can see you. They can feel your emotions, your passion, just like we're doing right now. I know, what Nathan and I are sharing is that it's off the charts here, because you can see that, this is the real stuff, and we're talking about stuff that we're doing, things that we're experiencing, things that are working, and we're sharing about who we are, our failures, our successes, and that's what makes that connection. And video does that in a really powerful way, and both of us are utilizing, in a huge way. That's my main tool. Seriously, I've actually done webinars presenting across the globe. I was here. They were doing an event in Singapore. I couldn't be there in person, so they put me on a big screen. I'm doing my training, through the screen while people are in the seminar room. So you can do this anyway. It doesn't have to be one-on-one coaching or consulting or a combination of. And by the way, I have a question for you about that. Years ago, somebody hired me as a coach and then fired me the next week. She goes, "You're not a coach, you're a consultant." I'm like, yeah, well, how did apparently coaches, you just listen and empower people, and I'm an idea person. I'm like, I come up with solutions. So what are you recommending that? Because you brought up the coaching consulting combination. You identified yourself as a consultant. I'm a consultant, I'm an idea person. So, how does that work, for people to decide which one they are? Do you have any insight on that?
Yeah, they're both great. And I love coaches. I have coaches myself. I use coaches today, in all sorts of areas of my life. But what I see, and I look in the trends, the companies that are willing to pay a lot of money are paying for done-for-you services. They're paying for managed services. That's the thing that they want to They want to reduce overhead, and they want to outsource that. And it's a very powerful model. In every area of the business it's happening. It's called BPO, Business Process Outsourcing. And it's happening in all sides of the business, between workflow automation and technology and this. But you combine that with the advances of technology, coaching can become way more advanced. Guys, get involved in the holographic imaging and get that in your systems. I mean, holy smokes. We are probably 12 months away from that being fully integrated across our world because of the speed of the internet's growth. It's unbelievable. I mean, the speed of growth of the capacity of a single phone or a computer to have enough bandwidth and enough speed to put enough megabytes, bytes, whatever you want to call it, out to put a photo of yourself live in front of somebody. It's here. It exists right now. The only reason it hasn't had mass adoption is because of bandwidth and speed of computers, which is doubling every 18 months. So you guys, coaching's not gone. It's going to morph though. And consulting is going to morph in its own ways. But it will probably stay pretty close to the same thing. What the biggest trend in all of business right now is acquisition of technologies. And so partner yourself. One of my good friends, actually, I'd consider him a top competitor perceptibly in what we sell, is my number one reseller. He gives me more referrals and leads than anybody else that I have. And what he's done is he's partnered. He can only handle 2 clients. So he's partnered with guys like me that have managed services, and he refers me, and he gets quite a pretty penny of money for doing so. And then he refers technologies, and he has this whole ecosystem of referral agents that he makes money on as an advisor, as a trusted agent because of what he's done. Coaches, you're trusted agents. You know, your revenue stream is not tied to just you making money on a monthly basis. Think resourcefully, think differently. Can you give your coaching away for a nominal amount if they use your whole advisory system and it's making you more than what you would have charged? Possibly. There's a lot of ways to think about it.
Yeah, love it. Oh my goodness, you got me thinking in really in more open way, and reminding me some things too. So those of you who have been hearing, about what's happening, and I mean, think about it. Was it Star Wars? We were watching the movie, and there's a hologram. That's going to be you in another year, in 12 months, according to Nate.
Think of Star Wars. Carrie Fisher. Yeah. They're ghosting. If you've heard of this thing called ghosting, one of the evil guy on the ship with Darth Vader, this tall, skinny guy with a ghostly looking face. He's passed on a long time ago. That whole thing was a hologram. It was a computer generated image of the same person that looked real. It was amazing. Like, they want to do that with Carrie Fisher now, right? They want to ghost her into the next Star Wars movie because she just recently passed on. Yeah. So technology's like, anyway, let's move on.
Good, fun stuff. We love technology. We do. So the next thing is relationships. I think you kind of touched on it. So tell us more about that. How do we build and maintain relationships?
So the relationships part matters, right? You guys have known this. Most of you probably have read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich and the concept of the mastermind. If you haven't, my goodness, do it like now. Stop this video. Don't listen to me anymore. I'm going to read that. But the power of relationships is exponential. It's my whole business. My whole business is built on helping people create relationships. And I believe that the one relationship can change your business forever. Absolutely. It can change your personal life forever, right? You meet that one person and you fall head over heels and your whole world's changed, right? Yeah. But think of the coincidences that happen to get to that one relationship. Think of the divine guidance that may have happened that got you to that one relationship that changed your business forever, or made you the most money you ever made, or the significant other in your world, or whatever it might be. And I mean, I have this time and time again in my world because I'm open to it, right? And I expect it. Personally, I actually expect it. I expect that amazing relationships will find me today and every day. And it's one of my affirmations. Amazing people will find me today. Amazing people will come into my world today. And I expect that. And that's actually part of my business model, which is, maybe it sounds a little airy-fairy here for you guys, but like before I launch a campaign, we bless the campaign. We expect good people to come from the campaign and bad people to stay away.
I'm really glad you brought that up. Here's the thing, that a lot of people are kind of staying away from bringing spirituality into what we do. The fact is, we are spiritual people. It's a part of us. Leaving that part of us out of our business, or just leaving it out of the conversation, let's say, because I talk with people, they're spiritual. When they're doing their business, they don't bring it up. You know what? I'm blessed. The gifts that I have, I believe they're a blessing. They're meant to be shared with others. Each one of us does what we're supposed to do. It's going to be a better world. Now, if there were no shoemakers, we would all be walking around barefoot. Ouch. So share your gifts and be thankful for them. I'm with you. Most of the time we don't have this conversation with people because there's like, oh, you got to do this, you got to do the branding, you got to do the marketing or whatever. But this is a part of us. And I'm really loving this interview, by the way. Thank you so much. Really, really am. Okay.
Well, I want to say to that, think of it this way. I'm on the phone with Microsoft, and I'm telling these guys, listen, your expectation before we set this campaign is going to help impact the success of this campaign. I need you to get right in your head right now about what you expect. Because that vibrational attraction is proven. If you guys haven't heard that or know anything about it, I'm sure, go watch What the Bleep Do You Know and Down the Rabbit Hole. And those are unbelievably transformative movies for anyone that hasn't seen them. Watch them. And understand the power of quantum physics and vibrations and how the world really works. What we see is mostly it's a manifestation of our objective observation. And so, if you want to experience better things, expect better things.
Yeah.
So let me just wrap up on the. I brought out my little chime thing to balance. So, we do this in the office. So I balance with the C. So,
nice.
But if it's like my mallet,
Your little toy. Come on, admit it. It's a toy to play with. Come on, you're fun.
So the relationships part, though, guys, you may or may not have heard this. We become like the 5 relationships we spend the most time with. Be aware. I think I've been blessed because I was raised in a variety of different faiths, and one of those particular faiths was really focused on being aware of the thoughts that are coming at you. And it's not a religious thing. This is a mindful thing. To mass media and all the things that come at us on a daily basis can give us a positive or negative tone to our day. And if we have, and I'm talking about this in terms of relationships, the people that we surround ourselves with are going to serve us or not. And we're going to serve them or not. And we need to ask ourselves, are we adding value to the people that we want to be adding value to? And are those people around me? And we can add value to people that may not be helping us grow or giving us a benefit. It's not a selfish thing. That's not what I'm talking about. But if you want to get to a certain place of influence, of impact, of service, of gratitude, and let's say service, okay? So you want to be a contributor. My wife and I pack backpacks for kids in need every single week. My wife is right now, she's out filling our truck with these boxes and taking them to the school. And we do it every week for a reason, because we want to serve. We want to be a part of giving to people that are less fortunate than us. If we surround ourselves with people that are selfish and not in a giving mindset, we'd be less likely to do that. Fortunately, we surround ourselves in a community of service-minded people that also have growth intentions. And so in doing that, it allows us to be more likely to serve more and give more. We've given $670,000 in the last 5 years just through this one project in food and donations and backpacks. It's just amazing what we've been able to do.
It's wonderful. It's heartwarming, and it feeds the soul. It really does. They're doing good, and so, and by the way, those of you who don't think you can do this every week, don't. Do it once a month. Do it every 6 months. Do it whenever, but just do something. It feels good. And
I'm not talking about you have to go do service projects, guys. I mean, it's great and you should, but from my perspective. But what I'm talking about is like one of the biggest changes in my business was I went and got 4 of the most influential friends of mine that I knew, that we respected each other. We were all entrepreneurial. We were all growing. We're all around the country. And we said, hey guys, look, we don't need to go pay $50,000 for a mastermind. to be a part of something, although that's cool because you meet new people. Let's mastermind ourselves. We mastermind every week for a year, and my business doubled by just doing that because I got different perspectives from other people, which was a resourcefulness issue, right? Like if you can't do it yourself, find a way. That's why the mastermind is so powerful, and it raised the bar for all of us.
Yeah, and I love that. I do the same thing. And I'm so glad you brought it up that you don't have to go pay somebody a lot of money to be in their mastermind. We already know people who can inspire us, who can support us, who are doing things that we're not so good at. They're really good at, and then maybe we're good at some things that, that they're not so good at. So complementing each other's. And, I didn't know all these things about you. I love the way you think. I really do. Because, there are so many ways for us to be able to support each other and give to the world at the same time. Yeah, okay. So let's go. Are we good with the relationship? Should we go into the next one?
Let's rock it.
Okay. Here we go. Full screen on this one.
So we started talking about this briefly, and I think that the mindset, expectations, your beliefs and habits are all a function of how we show up on a daily basis. And I just started touching on it a little bit there, and being aware of the thoughts coming at you. There's a saying that I like to share with my kids, which is to stand porter at the door of thought, which is for those that don't know what a porter is anymore, because that's kind of gone, is to stand guard at the door, right? To have a guard in front of the door of your own thought, so that you're aware of the thoughts that are coming in and that you're thinking and that are coming at you. And then you can decide if you want to accept or reject those. And that's probably the most powerful lesson that I've ever learned in my life is that one statement. And it's served me so many times. It allows me to be an objective thinker. It allows me to be considerate of what's coming at me and the source. There's so many biased sources on the news and television today that for us to even the internet, Facebook, you don't know the source, and until you do, just be objective. Talk about it, but be objective, not super committed to it unless you really know what you're talking about. And that's just really served me. Expectations I mentioned on how it impacts my business and my own success for my campaigns, my clients, and the people that we help and serve. And but all of this translates down to our daily habits. And we started off with vision, right? Along the way, we need to identify little mission statements for ourselves. Maybe I have a mission of this. Think of a mission, like a special teams force is going to go out on a mission. They're going to accomplish this thing, right? That's a mission, right? And then the goal are the different stages of that mission that we're going to get to. And don't overcomplicate it, but get them written down. Like get them in your world and in your awareness, and so they can come to you. But if you don't get them into your awareness, they're not coming to you. If we just act on a daily basis towards an unknown goal, we're going to get an unknown result, and we don't want that. And so John Assaraf is probably the best person that I've ever met at this particular activity. And there's some billionaires that I've interviewed and many others that I've talked with. I think John's one of the best. And here's why. John has built 5 multi-million-dollar businesses, maybe 6 now. I think he might be on 6. And one of them he built to $1 billion brand with 4 people in 9 months. And I said, John, how in the world is that even possible? Like, what did you do? And he said, well, it was a technology, so we had some leverage and economies of scale. So we were in the right place at the right time, right? The Venn diagram. And he said, we were focused. We knew what we want. We put our mission, our plan together, and our daily habits, and that's all we focused on. So that's when we turn off resourcefulness. Once you've identified the vision and the mission and the plan and the goals and the actions to get to what you want, you got to be diehard focused to get there. And you have to know when to say no. So part of the challenge with resourcefulness is opportunities are always at us. One of my other good mentors and great friends, Tom Searcy of Hunt Big Sales, told me one time, he said, Nathan, you're in such a hot market, your biggest problem will be your ability to say no and know what to say no to. And I thought, it was really interesting. And in many of the billionaire interviews that we've seen, one of their number 1 or 2 things that they say they do is they say no. They know what to say no to. And so, but it only comes, guys, that only comes once we're clear on our vision and what we want and our mission and the goals that are going to get us there and having the plan to get that happening. And so I hope this really serves everybody. I mean, that's it from me. And I could talk all day on this topic. I really love serving and helping entrepreneurs and all of you that are listening to this today. I'm one of you. Ann tells me this is a group and community of entrepreneurs, consultants, and coaches and speakers. And I mean, I love the world, you know, and now let's expand it because we have so much value to give to the world as a collective group that we can change the world ourselves as a community if we take on the right mindset and have the right expectations about what we do on a daily basis.
Absolutely. You've shared so much great information, Nate. Thank you. Really, really appreciate it. And those of you who are watching, this is just the beginning. Now, Nate and I are doing a 5-hour masterclass. So we've been together about an hour, and look at how much information, the insights, the mindset shifts you're having. We're going to be doing a 5-hour class where he's going to dive in deep in each one of these categories. And I'm actually going to be showing you how you can put video into every aspect of it. So what is it that you want, right? You're just looking at that one first. What do you want? What is your vision? And how can you use video? How can you turn everything you're doing maybe on social media, you know, the posts that you do on Facebook Live, the interviews that you want to do, anything that you want to share can actually be turned into your own web TV show. Okay. Now, what is your business model? My goodness, every aspect of your business that Nate is going to be outlining, you're going to be able to see how video fits into it. You have a passion project, you're going to be able to show. You in technology, we're in technology. Everybody around you is in technology right now. When you show up online, they're going to be able to see you. So just think about all the things that Nate has shared. Resourcefulness. My goodness, can you do more? You absolutely can. He's going to be outlining step by step all the different things you can do, more ideas, and I'm going to be working right along with you because he's already given me some great ideas now that I'm ready to implement. And it's one of those, you know, hey, I'm sending you this. Are you catching it? You know, you never know when the messages are going to come. So if you probably have sheets full of notes already, or you're just typing away as you're watching this. And I'm going to go back and watch this again because there are all kinds of opportunities to be more resourceful. And because of the video aspect of it, like I was sharing with you, you know, I'm doing trainings across the globe. Next month, I'm going to be in Australia doing an in-person media training. And, you know, UK, whatever. I am doing training traveling the globe, because that's what I want to do. I want to go on a 1-year tour, work a week, and explore the country a week. How cool is that? It's it's a business write-off. Relationships, you can connect with anybody across the globe and build relationships. We can do masterminds that Nate is suggesting right on Zoom or other places. One-on-one coaching, clients and consulting, closing those deals, all the things that we're talking about. Nate will show you the to-do, how do you do it, the strategy behind it, and I will show you how you can incorporate video into it. You know, whether it's, again, just connecting with your clients or actually closing those deals or doing training and creating marketing content for social media and otherwise, and your mindset, expectations, beliefs, and habits, well, staying in a conversation is definitely going to be shifting all that. So if this is exciting to you, you gotta join us. You have to join us.
I gotta say something for you,
yeah.
Ann. So Ann shared something with me just the other day, and we were talking about doing this recording, and she said something that I'm really excited about, and I hope that you guys are too. Which is, she talked about this Facebook Live TED Talk like concept, and I hope I'm not putting any cats out of the bag here for you, Ann. But guys, listen, if you can have some sort of thought leadership piece that is like a TED Talk, working with Ann, and she can guide you through that strategy and mindset and process, and get it on video and then integrate it into Facebook Live. Oh my gosh, that will transform your business. I'm doing it. She doesn't know that yet, but I am doing it. And my wife is going to do that, because that is such a powerful way to create messaging that's compelling, reaffirms your client's belief in who you are, wants them to share it, say, hey, check out my coach, this person's awesome. Or and it's nothing to do with selling necessarily. It's about giving value and creating insight and intrigue, which is what almost all executives want anyway. And I just think that it's brilliant. And for all of you guys, just so you know, we're doing mid 6-figure, low 6-figure deals on just digital Zoom, and working in this platform and the framework that Anne's kind of guided me on, and the atmosphere that she's able to help me create, and the brightness. You guys see the brightness that I have in my picture, right? And it has a real impact. And so if you have the opportunity to work with Anne, everybody, I do recommend taking a look at what she has to offer, and at least at a minimum, getting into this masterclass program so you can get the great insights.
Well, thanks, Nate. And what Nate is talking about is, literally, I'm using about $300 worth of equipment. I'm sitting in a 6x6 space, 8x8. Okay. So, but with a green screen, so I can go from my living room to the studio to wherever and doing all the things I'm doing over the shoulder. And seriously, technology can do anything for us. So this is all part of the training, by the way. So you can look professional going out there. And yeah, we're going to talk about the TEDx talk on Facebook Live, the TEDx style talks on Facebook Live. Very excited about this, but bringing it back. Seriously, if you just incorporate the things that Nate has shared with us already, just within this hour, you're going to be light years ahead in no time at all. But why not join us for the master class and then have the, step-by-step outlined by Nate that you can actually do the check the boxes, and you'll get the technology aspect from me. And, there's, anyway, so much you can do. So, and you wouldn't believe the price. I'm not even going to say it because this is going to be an evergreen training. And right now we're doing a real super special. It's going to blow you away. The good thing about it is that when you attend the 5-hour masterclass online, you also will get a ticket to join me for a 1-day media training, lights, camera, interview. And so wherever is closest to you, in Los Angeles, we're going to Atlanta and Denver. And again, next month I'm going to be in Sydney, and then shortly after that we'll be in Melbourne. Next trip probably January, and doing Singapore, Malaysia, India, Australia. I raised Australia, the Netherlands. I'm going to be in Amsterdam. We'll be in London, and wherever people are coming from, I'm there to do the training. So bottom line is that you can join us online and also spend a day with me with with some media training. So you do look fabulous. I'm talking about hands-on media training. You come in with your cameras and interview and be interviewed, know what to do with it. So enough said about that. We don't, hope this speaks for itself anyways. I hope all of you join us. Nate, thank you so much again for sharing your insights and your brilliance so freely. And you definitely are a blessing. I so appreciate you.
All right. Well, thank you, Anne, for sharing.
Okay, everybody. We'll see you next time. Okay. Bye-bye.